You think the cartel life is about gold plated pistols, fast cars, and absolute power. You're wrong, because the climb to the top isn't a ladder, it's a meat grinder. In the world of transnational organized crime, the average life expectancy for a high ranking lieutenant is measured in months, not years. This isn't a corporate career path with a retirement plan. It's a game of musical chairs where the music never stops and the chairs are buried in shallow desert graves. Let's look at the structure. It starts with the sicarios, the enforcers. They are the expendable infantry. In the early 2000s, the Zetas, originally composed of elite Mexican Special Forces deserters, changed the game. They introduced military precision to the trade. If you were a foot soldier, you were a target. If you showed ambition, you were a threat. The higher you climb, the more you realize that loyalty is just a delay tactic before your inevitable betrayal. Consider the fall of Joaquin Guzman Loera, known to the world as El Chapo. At his peak, he ran the Sinaloa cartel like a multinational corporation. He moved tons of cocaine, heroin, and meth into the United States. He controlled territory from the Pacific to the Gulf. But how did he reach the top? He didn't just outwork his rivals, he outsurvived them. By the time he was extradited to the US in 2017, his inner circle had been decimated by arrests, defections, and internal purges. To move up, you have to kill your friends. It's that simple. There is no such thing as a bloodless promotion in the cartel. If you manage to control a plaza, you become the most valuable asset in the organization. You also become the biggest target for your own boss. Why? Because you know too much. You have your own revenue streams. You have your own soldiers. You have become a liability. Look at the history of the Arellano Felix organization in Tijuana. In the 90s, they were the kings of the border. They were brutal, efficient, and untouchable. But internal friction and external pressure from the Mexican government turned their own lieutenants against them. Francisco Rafael Arellano Felix was assassinated at a child's birthday party in 2013 while dressed as a clown. Think about that. You can be the most feared man in the country, but the moment your status shifts from asset to threat, your life is worth less than the powder in your gun. Data from the University of San Diego's Justice in Mexico project shows that the violence is self-sustaining. When a top leader is removed, the cartel doesn't collapse, it fractures. This is the Hydra effect. Every time a kingpin is taken down, three lieutenants start a war for the throne. The brutal truth is that the hierarchy is designed to ensure that no one ever truly feels safe. The person who promotes you is the person who is most terrified of you. In the modern era, social media has complicated the ladder. Young narcos use TikTok and Instagram to flaunt their wealth. They think that visibility equals power. In reality, it equals a GPS coordinate for a drone strike or a tactical raid. The old guard, the ones who actually survived, knew that anonymity was the only true defense. The new generation is trading longevity for clout. It's a suicide pact broadcast in high definition. You might argue that the money makes it worth it. Sure, the profits are staggering. At its height, the Medellin cartel was pulling in an estimated $60 million per day. Pablo Escobar was one of the richest men on the planet, but he spent his final years living in constant paranoia, hiding in the mountains, watching his family be hunted by the search block and his rivals, Los Pepes. He died alone on a corrugated tin roof in a working-class neighborhood. That was the payout for his ambition. The recruitment process is equally grim. Many are brought in as teenagers, starting as scouts or halcones. They are given a radio, a bicycle, and a dream. The promise is simple: stay loyal, move up, and eventually you will be the one giving the orders. But the math doesn't add up. For every one kingpin, there are 10,000 corpses rotting in mass graves across the Tamaulipas state. The system requires a constant flow of fresh bodies to maintain its supply lines. You aren't being groomed for leadership, you are being groomed to be a statistic. The economic model of a cartel is built on scarcity and terror. Because there is no legal recourse for disputes, the only way to settle a disagreement is violence. If you have a problem with your partner, you don't file a lawsuit, you execute him and his family. If you have a disagreement with a neighboring cartel, you don't negotiate, you engage in a total war that leaves entire towns depopulated. Even if you make it to the very top, you aren't living the high life. You are living in a cage of your own making. You cannot trust your drivers. You cannot trust your security detail. You cannot trust your suppliers. You spend your nights behind reinforced steel doors, moving locations every few days, unable to enjoy the food on your table or the sleep in your bed. You are a prisoner of your own success, waiting for the day that someone with more ambition and less conscience decides that it's their turn to sit in your chair. The cartel hierarchy isn't a pyramid, it's a downward spiral. The higher you climb, the faster you fall. Every step upward requires a betrayal that will eventually be returned to you with interest. You become a target for the government, a target for the competition, and most importantly, a target for the people you call your subordinates. Is the power worth the price? That depends on how much you value your soul, your family, and the ability to breathe air that isn't heavy with the stench of fear. Most who chase the top find that they reach it only to realize the summit is a graveyard. In the game of cartels, you don't win, you just lose later than everyone else.